At my mom's birthday, my brother stood up, tapped his glass, and said clear as day, "You're not family." Yeah, those exact words. Everyone froze. My mom just stared at me, like she was waiting for me to say something. But I didn't. Not yet. Truth is, I had something in my bag, right under the table, that was going to flip this whole night upside down. And my brother? He had no clue what was coming. You ever had that moment where someone just writes you off, like you don't even belong? Yeah, that's where I was. But to really understand why he thought he could get away with it, you gotta know the months leading up to that night. I mean, my brother and I, we were never close. He was always the golden boy. Got the bigger slice of cake, the better gifts, the "we're so proud of you" speeches from mom and dad. Me, I was the quiet one. Stayed out of trouble, kept my head down, and somehow that made me forgettable. When Dad passed away a few years back, I stepped up. No questions asked. Mom leaned on me for everything, rides to appointments, fixing stuff around the house, paying bills when things got tight. I didn't brag about it, didn't post about it. I just did it. My brother, he'd show up for Christmas, maybe Easter, snap a few pictures for Facebook about family time and call it a year. And I let it slide. Because, well, that's just him, right? But then, about 6 months before the birthday party, he calls me out of nowhere. No, "Hey, how's it going?" No small talk. Just, "I think Mom's house should be signed over to me." I actually laughed, thought he was joking. But nope, dead serious. Said it was fair because I already had my own place, and he'd done more for the family name. I mean, what does that even mean? I told him no. Obviously. And that's when it started, the little digs. You don't really contribute. Some people just don't get what loyalty means. Always said with a smile. So if you called him out, he could say you were overreacting. At family dinners, he'd throw out something sly and I'd just bite my tongue. Because picking a fight in front of Mom, that wasn't gonna happen. Then came the birthday planning. Mom was turning 65. Didn't want anything fancy, just dinner with her kids, some close relatives, a few friends. I offered to host, but she wanted it at her favorite restaurant, the one with the round tables, the piano in the corner, and that warm lighting that makes everyone look a little better in photos. So I booked it, paid the deposit, ordered her favorite flowers for the table, even picked out a dress with her a couple weeks before, soft blue. Matched her eyes perfectly. The night of the party, I got there early. Made sure everything was set. The flowers? Perfect. The candles? Lit. My bag? Safely tucked under my chair, with the real gift inside. Mom arrived looking radiant. She hugged me first tight, then my brother, then sat down with that big smile that just lights up a room. First hour? Smooth sailing. Laughter. Good food. Even my brother was playing nice. I thought, maybe we'd make it through without drama. But nah. He couldn't help himself. He stands up, taps his glass, ting, 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 and starts talking. At first, it's sweet. Talks about how strong Mom is, how much she's been through, how proud he is to be her son. People are nodding, smiling. Even I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is different. And then, he turns to me. And, as for you, long pause, you're not family. Not really. You walked away from what matters. You don't belong here. I swear. It was like the air got sucked out of the room. Mom's hand froze halfway to her wine glass. A couple people gave those nervous little laughs, hoping it was a joke. But it wasn't. He just sat back down like he'd said something profound. And me? I took a slow sip of my drink, looked him dead in the eye, and said, "Enjoy the night. Not gonna lie. It took everything in me not to unload right there. But I had something better. I'd been ready for this. For months, I could feel the strap of my bag under my foot, and the weight of what was inside. Not a bouquet, not a box of jewelry. No, this was different. This was going to speak louder than anything I could say in that moment. But timing was everything. So I just smiled and waited. I kept my smile, even though inside, my heart was thumping like a drum. My brother sat there, leaning back in his chair like he'd just dropped some kind of truth bomb, like he was the hero in his own little movie. Mom? She tried to steer the conversation back to normal, but I could hear it in her voice. It was thinner, tighter, like she was holding something in. And the rest of the table? Yeah. You could feel that awkward tension, like everyone was pretending to eat but really just wondering what the heck was going on. Truth is, in moments like that, you've got two options. You either blow up and give them exactly what they want, or you wait. You let them think they've won, and then you drop your move when it hurts the most. Guess which one I was going with? The waiter came around, topping off glasses, and I noticed my brother glance at me, just for a second. You know that look when someone's checking to see if they got under your skin? Yeah. He had that. I wasn't giving him the satisfaction. I started chatting with my cousins like nothing happened, smiling, nodding, asking about their kids. But under the table, I had one foot hooked around the strap of my bag. That bag was my ace, my insurance policy, my way of shutting him down without raising my voice. I'd been putting this together for months. Every receipt, every little proof, every fact he couldn't twist carefully collected. Because I knew a day like this would come. And if he wanted to play games in front of Mom, fine. I'd let him set the stage. Between bites of dessert, he started again. Maybe next year, we can have the party at your place, if you can afford it, he said, grinning like it was a joke. A couple people chuckled, but you could tell they didn't really want to. Then he threw in another one. Some of us make sacrifices for family. Some of us just disappear when it's not convenient. He didn't even look at me this time. Didn't have to. Every word was aimed at me. Mom told him to knock it off. Said it wasn't the time or place, but he just waved her off. I'm just being honest. Honest. Right. I'd been the one keeping the lights on at Mom's place when she was between jobs. I'd been the one driving her to doctors, standing in pharmacy lines, fixing leaks in the middle of winter. He showed up for the photo op, and now he was lecturing me about sacrifice? Not gonna lie, I wanted to laugh. I glanced at the clock behind him. Almost 9. Perfect. I leaned toward Mom and said, "Hey, I've actually got one more thing for you. The real gift." Her eyebrows lifted, and she gave me that little smile she does when she's curious but trying to play it cool. My brother heard me, of course he did, and suddenly, he was watching. "Oh, you got her something else?" he said, with that fake interest in his voice. "Can't wait to see this." I slid my foot, pulled the bag closer, felt the weight of it in my lap. My heartbeat slowed. I'd been thinking about this moment for weeks. This wasn't something from a store. It wasn't about impressing her with something shiny. It was proof. The kind of proof that shuts down every argument before it starts. I unzipped the bag slowly. Mom tilted her head. My brother leaned forward, still smirking, probably thinking I'd bought something flashy. Like him. Nope. Not even close. This was personal. This was going to change the way everyone at this table saw us. I could feel the energy shifting, conversations getting quieter, eyes drifting toward me. The piano kept playing, soft and steady, like it knew something was about to happen. I looked around the table, catching people's eyes one by one. "You know," I said, "family's a funny thing. People can talk all they want about who's loyal and who's not. But at the end of the day, it's not the talk that matters. It's what you do when no one's watching. My brother's smirk twitched, just a little. I reached into the bag and pulled out a plain black folder. Nothing fancy. Just paper. But inside, everything. I laid it on the table in front of me. Kept my hand on it. Didn't open it yet. Timing was still mine. This, I said, tapping it lightly, is my real gift to you, Mom. She looked at me, then at the folder, then back at me, her brow furrowing. My brother let out this little laugh, more like a snort. What is this? Homework? You bring a book report to a birthday party? A few people chuckled, but it didn't bother me, because I had the room now. All eyes were on me. And the thing about having the room is you get to decide when to flip it. I smiled at Mom and said, "We'll open it in just a minute." But first I turned to my brother, leaned back in my chair, and looked him dead in the eye. Why don't you go ahead and finish what you've been trying to say all night? The way his jaw tightened. Yeah. He knew something was coming. He just stared at me for a second. You know that look? Where someone's trying to decide if they should double down or back off? Yeah. That one. His smirk was gone now, replaced with this tight little half smile like he was pretending not to care. I've already said what I needed to, he muttered, leaning back. And that's when I turned to Mom and said, "All right, let's open this." I slid the black folder across the table, toward her. She hesitated for a second, her fingers brushing the cover, eyes flicking to me like she wasn't sure if she was ready. "Go ahead," I told her. "This is the real gift I wanted you to have tonight." She opened it slowly. Right on top, receipts. Not one or two. A stack. Grocery bills, utility payments, pharmacy slips, all in my name. All for her. Under that bank transfer printouts from the last 3 years. Page after page of money moving from my account to hers. Then appointment slips from every doctor's visit I'd driven her to, each with my signature as the person who checked her in. And finally, at the bottom, a letter. Handwritten. My handwriting. She lifted it carefully, like it might break, and started reading. Her voice trembled a little. It wasn't some angry rant, it was just me, telling her everything I'd done over the years. The nights I'd stayed over when she was sick, the times I'd skipped work to make sure she got to an appointment, the bills I'd covered without telling her, because I didn't want her to feel guilty. How I never asked for anything back, not once. And yeah, hearing my own words out loud like that, it hit me too. When she finished, the table was silent. I mean dead silent. No clinking silverware, no background chatter, just quiet. My brother's face? Pale. Like he just swallowed something that didn't sit right. He glanced at the folder, then at me, then away like he was hoping if he didn't make eye contact, maybe it would all just disappear. I leaned forward, my voice low but clear. "So, when you say I'm not family, what exactly do you mean? Because from where I'm sitting, family isn't about who talks the loudest. It's about showing up when it's not easy, when no one's watching." He opened his mouth like he was about to fire back, but nothing came out. Just this little exhale, and then he looked down at his plate. Mom's eyes were wet, and she reached across the table, grabbing my hand. "I knew you'd been helping," she said softly, "but I didn't know it was like this." I shrugged a little. "I wasn't doing it for credit, Mom. I did it because you're my mom." That's when one of my uncles spoke up loud enough for the whole table to hear. "Well, I think we know who's been family here." A couple people nodded. "My brother?" He pushed his chair back, muttering something about needing air, and walked toward the door. No one stopped him. Mom squeezed my hand again, smiling through tears. "This is the best gift I've ever gotten," she whispered. And I knew she meant it. The rest of the night, it felt different, lighter. People came up to me, quietly saying they hadn't realized just how much I'd done. Not gonna lie, part of me wished they'd noticed sooner. But another part of me, glad it came out this way without me having to yell. without me turning it into a scene. When the dinner wrapped up, Mom hugged me longer than usual. That kind of hug that says more than words ever could. "Don't let him get to you," she said. "He's got to live with himself." I told her not to worry. Out in the parking lot, I was heading to my car when I saw him leaning against his arms crossed. He looked at me for a long moment, then said, "Nice move in there." I shrugged. It wasn't a move. It was the truth. He didn't respond, just got in his car and drove off. And as I pulled away, I thought about it, how easy it would have been to blow up at him earlier, to give him exactly what he wanted. But this way was better. He'd tried to humiliate me in front of Mom, and instead, I handed her the proof of who'd really been there. And the best part? I never had to raise my voice once.